Hey, welcome back to Marcelian Online. Today we're healing a 10 Operation Mechagon on our educational journey to push as much rating as possible. We're learning together here, so of course you're gonna see some mistakes. A pretty big one on my end, might add, people dying, good plays, and so on. You're gonna learn a lot, regardless if you're a healer, DPS, or tank. Okay, so let's just dive in. Now, at the beginning of the dungeon, we're gonna have the pool made with the mobs in the middle and the ones on the right. It's best here to just pop your cooldown as early as possible, cooldowns, and make sure that everybody stays healthy, because apart from like having people to stop and CC the mobs, granted there's not a lot in this pack, we're just gonna have a lot of these like mechanical birds jump on people, but regardless, it's still good to just jump right off the bat, PI the elemental shaman Patrick over there, and make sure you use your offensive abilities to help with the damage, and also like being a disc priest, healing everybody, right? So right now you can see Flame was hit by a bomb. Used my instant flash shields on him, which they don't do that much, but also got a shield off of him. We're good. Now this next pull, which is going to involve a lot more bombs, which need to be stopped, interrupted, CC'd, all of that. Everybody needs to be on point with that, and you should have your cooldowns back, at least as a discipline priest, right? So I do get my Mindbender up, I do get my Radiance up, really clutch there with the AoE, and also my Mind Blast. So everything now should be Gucci, and I'm able to like keep everybody alive. But this pack is really nasty if you don't have like interrupts all the times. Those casts from the little bombs hurt a lot. Like you can see, one of the warriors also used here Commanding Shout. Wasn't really necessary, but you cannot be too conservative with cooldowns here. I used my Dome as well. I think one cast got through, so that was problematic, and this was pretty lucky because all of those blades just put me right into the explosion, but another set of blades threw me off, so that was pretty lucky. Other than that, just make sure you rotate your cooldowns, like use everything you have here. It's pretty nasty to just start off the dungeon with people dying on these packs, right? So it's important to use everything you have. Like you see, I used my uppies over there, ain't no problem. Always keep, as much as possible, your shield on the tank. Obviously, you can use it for DPS, especially if you have it buffed it up by Will and Woe. This is Discipline Priest Mumbo Jumbo, but regardless, if you're gonna do this pack, make sure you have tons of interrupts. Now for this boss, obviously you're gonna dot both of them up. You don't have to start with your cooldowns necessarily, just make sure you look at the ability timeline on the weak aura on the right and see when the ground pound happens, like it's starting. So I already put my Mindbender up, I had my Radiance up, my Mind Blast, and we're ready to go, and just make sure we heal through this AoE damage. I also use PI on the Elemental Shaman here, so everything should be stabilized. One other thing about this boss is the baiting of the bombs. Like you see the bombs over there on the left side. So you can bait them towards the middle, or you can bait them on the opposite side from which the tank will take the bosses, right? So on the left side, the ground pound is coming once again. I only have my Mind Blast up, so I'm ready to just pump some Void Rips into everybody, so it should be good. Now, I do want to say the AoE from the ground stomp isn't that high, but you cannot be too careful, right? It's generally a pretty smooth fight as a Discipline Priest. Now, if you know the ground stomp is going to come and, hit everybody, regardless of what healer you are, make sure you have, Holy Paladin, Avenging Wrath, I don't know, Convoke the Spirits for Rest of Druid, Apotheosis for Holy Priest, anything you can use, that would be great. So once again, everything is lined up for the ground stomp. I make sure I have my ramp up, well, the mini ramp for dungeons anyways, and you can see the Elemental Shaman baiting those little bombs over there. It's pretty good, but it's kind of risky because we do have melees coming out, and here I have Flame thrown up in the air. I'm just gonna grip him. On Windwalkers, it's not necessarily to like grip them because they have super mobility, so they can get back to the targets really fast. But as you can see, the boss is being moved towards like anti-clockwise, and the best way to position and bait those bombs is like behind. Here our warrior, our Fury Warrior, got hit by a bomb. I think it spawned right underneath him, so that was a big problemo. Now, if you get targeted by this, make sure you move fast to a zone where there's not any bombs inside, because the risk with that mechanic is that you're gonna get pushed into a bomb and just get one shot, okay? And after this is basically rinse and repeat. Now do notice I do move closer to the wall here just to be safe, because I am going to get focused once again to be pushed by the Fold Flipper. So this is a semi-good tactic as well, because you're basically gonna get pushed into the wall and you're gonna get like a little bit bounced all over the place. It's still a safer way to not get into the bombs. And that's pretty much it. So you make sure you prep up for the ground stomp all the time. You make sure you bait the bombs somewhere outside of the range of the melees and opposite to where the tank is taking the bosses. And also when you get targeted by the flipper, make sure to position yourself to not get in the bombs. Now this next pack is bit more tricky because you do have the gunks and you do have the waste unit, which has massive AoE, so it's gonna be pretty rough. Now once you see that, you know, the people are not stopping the gunks using their corrosive gunks, just make sure you have everything prepped up. The Mega Drill is the big AoE. Obviously you prep up for this as a disciplined priest or regardless of a healer you are. It's usually best to just make sure you have faith in your healer and not pop any defensives unless called if you're DPS or tank. Here you can see like the heal absorb, and I don't have much to hit basically, so it's fine. It's not the biggest problem in the world. You know, you can spot heal these heal absorbs, no problem, but you're gonna see the next pack, which is going to contain more gunks. You're gonna feel it for sure. So this is like quite a big healing check. Now this is the Mega Drill as well from the waste unit, and also you're gonna see some nice gunks being put on everybody. So this is the overlap I was talking about. This is a great time to like have all of your cooldowns ready, because it's not like super deadly, but if you're not being prepped up, it could get you off guard and you can get really behind, especially if you have in your team like players who are much more squishy, like shamans for example, or evokers, something like that. Now these dogs are not scary. What is scary with these are the dots they put on, because they do a hell of a lot of damage. So we have 4 dogs being pulled here. Now obviously as a priest you wait for at least 3 dots to be applied and just mass the spell the first one, because it's really nasty. Like if you're gonna just rely yourself on a little bit of a dispel, it's not going to work. Obviously you can heal through these dots, but like when you have 1 or maybe 2 up, but when there's like 3, there's no point, just use mass the spell. So after you kill the dogs, there's no need to pull the ones from the side. You just make sure you pull the boss. You're gonna get percentage from other packs. Basically, you pull the boss, the Cujo dog, and this is very important to look at the timeline. So you see now you have like the big dot on the tank that is coming up. You have to prep for this really soon. I didn't like prep all the way, to be fair. Next time I'm gonna be much more prepared, but I still managed to like stabilize everybody. And the basic idea is here, like when you dispel the tank off of that, you're gonna have huge AoE damage. Basic purpose is to go behind the box with everybody at full HP. This is the thing. Obviously, when you get the explosives leaf, make sure you do not hit the box that has been turned on over there. And once again, you're gonna have the dispel ready. Now I have all of my cooldowns prepped up, so you can see I get the dispel. I basically do a little bit of a mind blast and just put my dark reprimand penance, and there you go, everybody's stabilized, even with some attunements falling off. And this is basically the whole of the fight. You make sure everybody is being topped off. After you get the dispel on the tank, and you should be Gucci. This boss is not hard at all. If I do dare to say, it's one of the easiest bosses in this dungeon if you play your cards correctly, right? The raid ability timeline Wikora is definitely a big help here, so make sure you take it from the description. So we kill this. Now we get to the first pack moving towards the next boss, and these little tinkerers, they cast a lot. You have to have your party ready to just stop them at all times, because those hits hurt, man. It's not like, so you see them like really small, like it shouldn't be that scary. You also have the squirrels, obviously, which you have to like just move out of when they do their big circle AoE stuff, and that's pretty much it. But most important thing here, just stop the tinkerers from casting, because they're gonna hurt. Now these 3 mobs, these will also have the dots that you saw earlier, very similar to the dogs. So there are 3 of them, which means at some point you're gonna have like 3 dots being placed up on everybody. I have 1 now, I'm just gonna decide to like heal through it. There's also this AoE that is coming out, so that means you have to prep up, ramp up, make sure everything is like ready to go, especially as a disciplined priest. I do decide to like just dispel the elemental shaman over here, and once you get like 1 or 2 down, it's easy mode. Now, the mini boss here, this one is basically when he does the Sonic Pulse, there's a ton of AoE damage right off the bat, so make sure you have everything ready up just to heal through it. This one is easy now, but you're gonna see, like, I think one of the roughest healing checks in all of Season 2 is gonna be with 2 of these further down the line. We're gonna get through that in a second, right? So once you get that part when you have the Sonic Boom frontal, just make sure you just spam heals, use your ramp, use your cooldowns at all costs, and heal everybody. It's not the scariest thing in the world, but it can get you off guard if you feel like too relaxed or something, especially if you have, again, squishy classes in your party, such as shamans, right? And basically rinse and repeat at this point. Just heal everybody through. Once the Sonic Boom frontal goes in, you can see the little rockets jumping all over the place. That's the AoE. Now this part, I'm not going to comment on it. It's basically you have to learn all of the movements from all of these. Just going to fast forward it. Be patient and watch for all the movement, because there were so many times I got caught off guard, not paying attention. It is what it is. So we managed to pull through, and this is the pack right before the third boss of the dungeon. So here you're still gonna have mobs that will put dots on people. You're gonna have like super important cash to be interrupted. This is all reliant on your DPS and your tank, obviously. Here we had our warrior being killed off by one of the explosions from the squirrel. That was on him. The shaman gets another dot on him, but I don't have the dispel ready. He used the defensive. I shielded him. That's no problem. We decided to not use the battle breath for the warrior because it's much more valuable to keep it for the boss. And you're going to see in a second, it was really valuable to keep it for the boss. Also, make sure you try to stay in those little yellow shields because those protect you from damage, and they also protect you from the AoE from the blue squirrels. Okay? So we start off the boss here. Okay, right off the bat, we have everything prepped up. So attunements, all of that. One thing that is very problematic here is the ad. And you can see that ad just focused me. I used my Desperate Prayer, my Fade, and everything like that, but I didn't see the sprocket hitting me over there, and I died. So that was a huge mistake because I panicked, because that, little thing just hit me all over the place. I did get rest, so this is why it was really important to keep this, and I had to stabilize, so I had to use all of my cooldowns here, basically, pop the squid and use Dark Reprimand. I can see like the tank is getting really, really low. I popped the base suppression on him, and the shield, everything you can to save your tank. We also used a battle shout here, commanding shout, sorry. So everybody should be good to go. Now, this is one of the important things about this dungeon, right? Your DPS should always focus, the little ad that spawns on the walls, because it will definitely target somebody that is really squishy. Like I almost died for that. I used Desperate Prayer and Fade, and because of the situation, I didn't see the little sprocket coming through my ass and just one-shotting me. I was already low due to the ad targeting me. Now, this fight is generally easy to go through. I think the biggest thing is this little ad here, the little plant that is being spawned up. So this is probably the best time to have some sort of cooldown ready to just make sure you heal through the damage it does. Obviously, you're gonna have the sprockets to dodge and make sure to not get hit by those lines. Everything is being showed up on the raid ability timeline Gunker. So once again, this is a huge help. Take it from the description. You're gonna have an easier time in this dungeon. So it's not a hard boss. It's just sometimes it gets really hectic. Now this next pack, this is the juicy one. This is what I feel is the biggest AoE healing check out of them all, because you can already see I'm not even there, and the AoE just goes out of control. So I managed to put my squid up. I did a sort of a radiance and just used my Dark Reprimand. Didn't even have time to get my Mind Blast up because it was all so hectic, right? So now I got my Mind Blast up. I use another Radiance. I'm gonna use my Ultimate Penance as well. This is huge, and the higher you go in keys, these two mobs will do massive AoE damage all the time. So you cannot be too conservative with cooldowns here. Just pop everything you have and make sure everybody is being topped off. Now, once one of them is dead, it's gonna be a little bit more easy, okay? We managed to pull through it, no problemo. Now it's time for the next dangerous pack, which you're gonna have dots, you're gonna have AoE, you're gonna have squirrels. It's the crazy time over here as well. So after that mess, we're gonna have this other mess as well to go through. So people need to be on point with the kicks. You need to be ready. I did make a small mistake here. I like kind of popped my cooldowns a little bit too early. Obviously we had a commanding shot to save us. I still had a little bit of the cooldowns left, so that was no problem. You can see we're like both me and the elemental shaman are staying into the little circles here, the shields, to make sure that we don't get hit too much by the AoE and the squirrel AoE damage. Whew, it was a hard one. I think, yeah, I also used my dome because I got a little bit scared over there. Decided to dispel flame for that dot, but this will leave me kind of like exposed because I get a dot immediately after. But once again, if it's one dot, you can easily go through it, right? You can easily heal through it. But yeah, this is pretty hectic, and the next pack is no different. Like basically on the next pack, we're gonna have a lot of problems. So you can see here, I still get another dot on my ass. So I kind of use everything I have, like, you know, pain suppression, the shield, fade with the talent has like 10% damage reduction. It's still all out crazy, and it ain't gonna get easier after we go into the next one, because the next one is sort of like the same. You're still gonna have a lot of like kicks to be handled, and CCs, also squirrels, and at some point you're gonna see we're gonna have a huge panic moment, a huge crisis to avert. But yeah, we're getting ready for everything here, you know, dodging all of the AoE squirrels, but the tank died. So this is panic mode, right? We have like, I use my fear, Flame used the ring, we get the res on, and as soon as the tank gets res, I immediately put pain suppress on him and rebuff him with the stamina. But also we got a butt pull for the mobs on top. So this is all out chaos right now, because it's basically everything that happened before but amped up, right? So I have to use a master spell over here. I basically get all of my cooldowns ready, make sure I get a radiance and then an evangelism. We also had commanding shout. I used power infusion for the shaman to get some haste as well. And I also got a dark reprimand and mind blast to go through it. At this point it looks pretty much stabilized, but we still have a lot of dots to go through, prepping up for the AoEs, because those mobs do heavy AoE and it's really nasty with the dots up. So look at this, look at this. When you think you have it all covered up, people still drop. But now it's finally done. So we get to the first phase of the last boss, well, the mini boss before the big boss. And this fight, you basically have to be aware of the Mega Zap, who is getting targeted by that, and either call out for a defensive or make sure you have some sort of shield or something like that, or just go through. Obviously, you're gonna have the occasional melee DPS going through the electrified bombs, and that you're gonna have to spot heal that, because you do have to save your ramp and save your big cooldowns for when he jumps onto the air and just fixates on a player. So this is basically just tank and spank. Make sure you like go keep attunements up, look at the ability timeline, and once you see the takeoff, you prep for that shit. So you use your binder, you use your mind blast, and this is the takeoff. So now it's gonna be moderate AoE damage. Just try to heal through as much as possible and you should be good to go. This is the whole of the fight before the last boss. Now, if you do get targeted by the Mega Zap, make sure to use some sort of like defensive cooldowns, not super major ones. Like you can see here, I got targeted, I used my Desperate Prayer and my Fade, which will basically have an increase of HP and 10% damage reduction, so you should be good to go. Now for the last boss of the dungeon. Now obviously you're still gonna have to dodge the electrified bombs, and you're gonna have to look for the Mega Zap, because this time it's gonna hit harder and it's gonna have a bigger tick in damage. This time it's going to be on the shaman. He popped his defensive over there, and I also used the shield on him. I get targeted by it as well. I use my Fade and just try to spot heal through it, because I do want to keep my ramp for the Magneto arm. That's like the magnet that is being thrown into the room and pulls everything towards it, and also dealing a lot of AoE damage. Now I did see it on my timeline, but I wasn't prepping up. This is a kind of big mistake on my end, right? So this basically makes me to like do my sequence all wrong. I Radiance first, then I Mind Bender, then I Mind Blast, which is all messed messed up. But regardless, we still managed to heal through it, right? So this is the whole of the fight, basically. You defensive somebody, even a pain suppress that gets targeted by the Giga Zap, the Mega Zap, and then prep up everything for the AoE part. That's all of the fight. We managed to time it. We +1 it. We had, I think, 7 deaths, which was all fine and dandy. Now, if this was helpful in any way, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any other plays or routes or tips, throw them over there. I'm really curious. We're making this a great series. Everybody can learn. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Also, check out this video for all of the add-ons we use and you see in everything we show on the channel. All right, bye!